Hey, what's going on, everybody? Timmy, aka Echo Side Fiend here. So I'm trying my the camera on my new laptop. I just picked up a Dell laptop last weekend, actually a week ago today. So just trying it out, see how it looks. From the look of it, it doesn't look like it's as nice and clear as my Galaxy S8 Plus. I might go back to using that, but I figured to at least try in one video and seeing kind of. Don't. My cat's trying to walk on the keyboard. She's already done that numerous times when I'm watching like YouTube or something, like switch it to a different web page and stuff. So, um, but anyway, so I'm just trying this out, see how it works. I'll watch it when it's all done, and if it doesn't look as good a quality, maybe I'll just redo it on my phone. But if I do upload it, and this is what you're watching, let's see if see if it looks as good. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that the video that was released, or the audio, I should say, the other day of those sounds like juggalos at a Twiztid VIP meet and greet, and just what was said in that, and how I feel about the whole thing, and because I still do support Twiztid, and I still do now, even after hearing that audio. But I will point out that geez, I definitely uh, feel I am losing a little bit of respect for them as people, not as performers. And even from the beginning of the whole beef, I've definitely sided a little bit more with ICP. I'm trying not to take sides. I tried to stay right in the middle. But if I were forced to, like somebody said, hey, you have to pick one side or the other, I would more than likely go with ICP just because I like them more. I've been a fan of them longer. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I do think Twiztid is fucking supremely talented. I love their music. I love their albums. There's only a couple of their albums I haven't cared for too much. Majority of their stuff I like. I listen to them on a regular basis. I'm still going to Fright Fest this year on Devil's Night in Detroit. I'm still going to support them. But yeah, after that audio, I definitely kind of I'm losing respect for them. I will point out though, I don't like the way that audio was definitely captured. It was, they clearly didn't know they were being recorded. I don't think that's almost as underhanded as like some of the stuff they were saying, I think. Although I know they said in their monoxides bake lunch or whatever they call it. I don't ever watch those, but he said if we said it, then that's what we mean. And I'm glad that they are not too upset about that, because I do think that was kind of shady. I don't think that that's a good way to do it, and then kind of get them talking on something that maybe they wouldn't have said anything like that if they didn't know. I don't know, but I mean, at least he's saying if they did say it, they at least mean it. But yeah, the whole thing about the slow your roll. I'd heard that song before, and when I first heard it too, I was kind of like, man, this is kind of fucked up, But then I did come to the same conclusion that CPN said in the video, that well, yeah, it's supervillains, they're bad guys, and because I love the song, the other song that CPN pointed out, the van. That's like one of my favorite psychopathic songs, and that's very, very clearly about rape and killing prostitutes and everything. But it's a great song. I love it. For one, I love the beat in it. But it's they were supervillains, and I'm like, wow, this is like pretty evil, But that's the way it was supposed to be. So after a little while, because the first time I heard that slow your roll, I was like, man, that's fucked up. And then I started like, oh wait, yeah, it's the supervillains, So, but then for him to sit there and like, oh yeah, I can't. How can they possibly say that? And then it turns out they were in the studio with him, when it happened, and all that. And yeah, it's just, and yeah, just also, like CPN pointed out, and I've said the same thing to myself when I was watching the audio to begin with. They've used homophobic slurs in their music, and obviously Gmo does. I've noticed that with the very day that I heard that song and bought his album, and but to me, I've always thought too, in hip hop, I think because Eminem, I'm not a huge fan of Eminem. It has nothing to do with the fact that he didn't like ICP for a while. I don't care about that. He's just not my style, but he is very talented, and there are some songs as I like, and they were brought that up in some interviews. It was like I think it was Anderson Cooper was interviewing him and started kind of grilling him on like the stuff that he says in his music, and it's like, well, I do feel like in hip hop and in lyricism, it may not be quite the same as homophobic slander, as just like if I were to be like, man, fuck those faggots or something like that, and said it in a way that I really truly mean it like that, that's a little different than than in hip hop, trading barbs with each other. I feel anyway. Maybe it's not at all. I don't know, but that's the feeling I get from it. So I do feel it's like different in that aspect. It's a little bit of a different take on it, So, um, but yeah, so I definitely like the stuff they were saying, and they still like, oh, the gang list didn't exist, and we know it did and does, and it's all the stuff that they're saying, and that it's kind of like, seriously, but it is what it is. That's how they feel, and they have every right to feel the way that they want, and they can say whatever they want. Um, but then in that, on the flip side of that, juggalos or just fans in general, whether they identify as juggalos or not, have the right to say, hey, we're not going to support you anymore. So I'm not one of those people that's like, giving any grief to people who decide not to support them anymore. They have every right to do that. I still do support them, and I don't feel like I'm a Twizzler or anything like that. The word that's been going around, I'm not like that at all. I've numerous times said that they were in the wrong. I've said that I feel they should have done the march, even though I myself was a little bit on the fence about the march. I didn't go. I probably would have if I had the money to spare, but I just didn't. But I was still kind of on the fence about it. But I think I made a video about that. But I also said I was glad the ICP was doing something about it. And I've also said, me saying, I'm kind of up in the air on it. I feel that I have a right to say that because I have not been making my living off of the Juggalo community or culture, whatever you want to call it, for so many years, where Twiztid has. And I think that they should have stepped up and said, even if they disagreed with the march, and even if they felt like for 100% that there was no gang list or whatever, ICP still asked them to do it. It was still representing the community. The majority of their fans are probably still juggalos. They should have stepped up and done it. They chose not to, whatever, that's up to them. They have every right to say no, but obviously they were going to be judged on it, and that's just the way it was. But as far as me supporting Twiztid still, I am still going to support them. I am planning on pre-ordering that Year of the Sword. I'm still going to go to Fright Fest. They just played in Lansing a couple weeks ago. I would have gone, but I couldn't get the next day off of work, and it was just, I have to work too early in the morning. But I would have gone. That's actually probably the first show of Twiztid's that's nearby that I didn't make it to in many, many years. It's about an hour drive from me. But the way I kind of liken it to it, I'm going to use an analogy here, kind of going towards pro wrestling. For years and years and years, I was a huge fan, and I'll point out, I still am a huge fan of the Ultimate Warrior. Jim Hellwig, I think had legally changed his name to Jim Warrior, and it had to do with so he could use the trademarks after he had a falling out with WWF at the time. And for years I was a fan of him. Growing up, I think he debuted when I was like 12, maybe 12, 13. Yeah, I think 12. I was 12, and I was a fan right away. I mean, you look at the guy who's jacked. He's colorful with his face paint, and it really didn't dawn on me till later that he's kind of a shitty pro wrestler. I just saw him whipping people around, and I'm like, all right, cool. He's awesome. And then in later years, my teenage years, started reading more books, about wrestling and just magazines and things like that. Internet wasn't out yet. Internet didn't really hit till I was in my early 20s, and started reading a lot more about him. And it turns out that he was not a good person at all. He was a piece of shit backstage. He didn't care about the safety of the people that he's working with in the ring. And as pro wrestling fans, we all know they're working together to put on a show, and they're not trying to hurt each other. And he didn't care at all. He didn't give a flying fuck if he hurt somebody. He didn't take precautions to not hurt people. Throughout the years, he definitely ruined some careers. He's widely regarded as the reason that British Bulldog became a drug addict, and it was because of the back injury that he, when he landed on a trap door in the ring that was for the Ultimate Warrior. I've always kind of been a little bit more like, well, the stage crew maybe should have let him know, but the fact of the matter is the trap door was there for Ultimate Warrior, and that was the beginning of British Bulldog's spiral, when he landed on it on his back, and landed on a hinge, I think it was, and hurt his back bad and ended up becoming a drug addict, and that's pretty much what killed him. There was the Renegade that was in WCW. That was a total ripoff of the Ultimate Warrior, but Ultimate Warrior made a statement about him, and then WCW just killed the character of the Renegade, and that guy, I forget the guy's actual name, but the Renegade, he ended up committing suicide after he got released from WCW, and they say a lot of people say it was that he was devastated by it being released, and the whole spiral of that character was because of something Ultimate Warrior said. It's been pretty much shown he was homophobic. There is footage of him at some type of a speech that he's doing, and he makes a comment about gay people not being the same on the equal as straight people, and somebody in the audience yells out, "How are they not?" And he goes, "Because queering doesn't make the world work," and it's just like, fuck you, Ultimate Warrior, it's like seriously, dude. And for a long time I was like, man, fuck him, what a piece of shit, and I didn't support him anymore. I had a couple of his shirts and I packed them away, and then I started thinking, like, I can still support the be a fan of the character of the Ultimate Warrior and not agree with what Jim Hellwig or Jim Warrior actually felt or said or whatever, and there's no denying what Ultimate Warrior did for wrestling, the character of the Ultimate Warrior, whether obviously it's being scripted by creation, creative department, but he still had to portray it and make the character work, and it's just to me, it's like he still made this huge impact on wrestling. And it still sucks that he died. I mean, I certainly would never have wished that on him. But it's been proven time and time again. Even in his Hall of Fame speech, he was kind of trying to claim, no, I was great backstage and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, it's been proven numerous times that you weren't, And but I still support the Ultimate Warrior. I've dug the shirts back out. I have another shirt that I ordered just a year or two ago. I think it was right after he died. I had ordered it, and I got a sweatshirt of him that I still wear, and like I support my keychain right now. I have an Ultimate Warrior keychain on it, and I don't agree with some of the things that Jim Hellwig or Jim Warrior said or did, but I still support and am a fan of the Ultimate Warrior, the character he portrayed. So I kind of look at that somewhat the same as the whole Twiztid thing. I can be like, I don't agree with what Twiztid themselves are saying behind the scenes or aside from their music, but I can still be a fan of their music because it doesn't change the fact that their music is awesome and that I enjoy their music and I enjoy their talent and enjoy their show, and that's not going to change, But anybody who does choose to not support them, you have every right to do that too, and I would not say you're wrong. You have every right to do that, and make the decision that you want to make. And I just kind of look back in the be like early 90s. I was a huge fan of Motley Crue, and I'm still a fan of them, not quite on the level I was, but when they were beefing with or feuding, whatever you want to call it, probably not beefing, but feuding with Guns N' Roses, and I still don't even understand what that was about. Maybe I could look it up and research, but back then I didn't care. I just knew that they didn't like that Guns N' Roses didn't like them, and they didn't like Guns N' Roses. So I was like, man, fuck Guns N' Roses, I'm with Motley Crue. And years later, after I kind of was like, what the fuck does it matter? I went out and picked up like everything that Guns N' Roses had out at the time, and I'm like, oh my god, these guys are fucking amazing, And it's like all those years I passed on it and gave it up, and didn't support them because another band I like didn't like them, and I'm like, that doesn't have anything to do with me. I don't, it's just like the whole Eminem thing. If I wanted to listen to Eminem when they were beefing with when ICP was beefing with Eminem, if I wanted to listen to him, you're goddamn right, I would have gone out and bought his albums and listened to him all I want, But I don't really, I'm not a huge fan of him just because he's not my style. But if I wanted to listen to him, I would have. Whether or not ICP is cool with him has nothing to do with me, So that's kind of how I justify it, And like I said, with the whole Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses thing, I missed out on some great music for a while because I was like, I felt that I had to. Well, I got to side with, Motley Crue because they're my favorite band, and it turns out that it really doesn't matter, So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So Yeah, after watching this, if you agree, disagree, let me know in the comments. Let me know how you feel about the whole situation. And again, I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. If you decide you don't want to support them, that's awesome. You have every right to do that. And I'm not calling you wrong, or this isn't to start any fights or anything. It's just how I'm gonna be looking at the situation, at least for a while. Maybe they'll make up, and I hope they do, because for one, they're two of my favorite bands. I'd rather they're not feuding, and also Dark Lotus. Come on, there's no more Dark Lotus, so I want Dark Lotus back. So again, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Let me know in the comments anything, any of your feelings, and that's pretty much it. So until next time, this is Timmy, aka Echo Side Fiend, and I will catch you in the next one.